Picture the most important 3 minutes in football history. Not a World Cup final, not Messi free kick, not Maradona's hand of God. 3 minutes, twice a half, every single match. 104 games. That's 624 minutes of football, deliberately killed at the biggest sporting event on the planet. And the worst part? FIFA designed it that way. They're calling it a hydration break. Sounds harmless, right? Players need water. Nobody's arguing that. But here's what they're not telling you. These breaks fire at the exact same minute every single game, whether the match is in the blazing Miami heat or inside a fully air-conditioned dome in Dallas at a perfectly comfortable 23 degrees. In the opening match of this tournament, Mexico versus South Africa, the referee blew his whistle and stopped the game inside one of football's most sacred stadiums. Not because a player went down, not because of dangerous heat, because a clock hit 22 minutes. Inside an air-conditioned arena, at room temperature, at the World Cup. That's not player welfare, that's theater. And here's the part that nobody in the press conference room is willing to say out loud. If this rule was genuinely about health, it would look completely different. It would be triggered by temperature sensors, by humidity readings, by a medical staff recommendation. It would fire in Miami and skip Dallas. It would exist in some matches and not others, because the conditions that threaten players exist in some matches and not others. Instead, the whistle blows at 22 minutes, like clockwork, like a schedule, because that is exactly what it is. And here's where it gets genuinely sinister. Back in March, months before a ball was kicked, FIFA quietly announced something that almost nobody noticed. Broadcasters would be permitted to sell advertising during these breaks. Let that land for a second. FIFA didn't just manufacture a stoppage in the middle of live football. They patented it as a product. They created a pause, branded it as safety, and handed it to networks as a shiny new ad slot, right in the heart of live play, so they could charge more for broadcast rights. This isn't conspiracy, this is literally what happened. And the networks came running. Fox in the US, full commercial break, cut, gone. Lowe's Home Improvement, back in 60 seconds. Broadcasters in Brazil and Ireland, same thing. Same ad slots, same cutaways. Football, the sport that built its entire identity on never stopping, now has a scheduled commercial break sewn into its DNA. But here's what blows the whole thing open. Not every network took the deal. Telemundo, same matches, same FIFA rules, kept the camera on the pitch the entire time. No ads, players huddling, coaches talking, replays running. Mexico's broadcasters, same thing. UK broadcasters, same. So the question writes itself. If the break is mandatory for player safety, why can some broadcasters just not run ads? Because the break was never about the players. The water was always just to the costume. Now, I want you to understand how deep this goes, because this isn't just cynical, it's contradictory. This is the same FIFA that arrived at this World Cup on a self-declared crusade against wasted time. They are timing throw-ins to the second. Substitutes have 10 seconds to leave the pitch. Goal kicks punished for delay. The head of refereeing literally barred players from gathering near the bench while a goalkeeper receives treatment because it disrupts the flow of the game. They have been policing football to the millisecond in every corner of every match, telling the world they are protecting the integrity of the sport. And then they blow a whistle that stops everything for 3 full minutes so coaches can open laptops and run full tactical debriefs on the touchline. Pochettino was spotted with a laptop during one. The Korea manager openly said he used the breaks to drill instructions into his squad. FIFA banned tactical timeouts, then rebuilt them, slapped a health warning on the tin, and sold advertising against them. But it gets worse than hypocrisy. In one match, the players were ready to restart before the 3 minutes were even up. The ball was set, the teams were lined up, the referee, hand in the air, made 22 professional footballers stand still on the pitch, waiting. Not for a player, not for safety,
waiting for Fox to finish its commercial. In another game, Qatar versus Switzerland, a Whitney Houston song was still blaring through the stadium while the referee held the match suspended, clock ticking, players frozen because the ad break was not done yet. A Whitney Houston song was more important than resuming a World Cup match. And the moment that tells you everything, Fox once came back from their commercial after the ball was already in play. They missed live World Cup action to sell you something. A cardinal sin in sports broadcasting, committed in broad daylight at the biggest tournament on Earth. And the reason it happened is simple. When you were racing to squeeze the last few seconds out of a paid slot, sometimes the game starts without you.
That is what this system produces. Not hydrated players, not safer football, just a broadcaster sprinting back to a match that has already begun, slightly embarrassed, hoping you did not notice. Here is what I keep coming back to. Football is the only major sport on Earth with no commercial breaks baked into its structure. No timeouts, no quarters, no innings. That is not an accident. That is the point. 90 minutes uninterrupted. Anything can happen. The tension never resets. It is why 1 billion people watch. And FIFA, the organization entrusted with this game, looked at the world's most watched sporting event and decided the problem was there was not enough room to sell you a truck. European journalists are calling this the Americanization of football, which is darkly ironic because football is not even a top 4 sport in America. This was not done to win American fans. It was done to bill American networks. They did not commercialize football for the audience. They commercialized football despite the audience. There was a match, Brazil versus Morocco, where Morocco had just taken the lead. The momentum was entirely theirs. The crowd was electric. And then the whistle blew. 3 minutes of sponsored silence. When play resumed, the energy was gone. Brazil equalized soon after. Whether that's cause and effect, nobody can prove with certainty. But ask yourself this. When you're the better team, when the momentum is yours, when the crowd is behind you, and someone hits pause on the entire match for 3 uninterrupted minutes, do you think that changes nothing? Do you think it resets to 0 and you just carry on? Momentum in football is not a metaphor. It's a real, fragile, living thing. And FIFA is now in the business of interrupting it on a schedule twice a half for revenue. That is what was sold. That is what was bought. And the players running back onto the pitch after a commercial break are the ones paying the price. I want to be fair here because fairness matters. Real heat is real danger. Some of these games will be played in Florida in July, in conditions that genuinely risk players' health. In those matches, water breaks are not just acceptable, they're non-negotiable. Nobody serious is arguing otherwise. But that is precisely the point. From 2014 through 2022, water breaks existed, and they were called at the referee's discretion, only when conditions actually demanded it. A threshold was hit, a whistle blew for a reason. A blanket rule that fires inside climate-controlled buildings at the same minute in every match is not a health policy. It is a billing cycle. The heat is the excuse, the money is the point. What FIFA has quietly built here is something new in the history of sport. A pause that looks like care, a product dressed as welfare, an ad slot wearing a doctor's coat. And because it has the word hydration attached to it, questioning it sounds like you want players to suffer in the sun. That is not an accident either. The framing is the protection. The label does the defending. Call it health and nobody can touch it. The game did not need this. It was already perfect. The people running it knew that. They simply decided perfect was not profitable enough, and so they found a way to monetize the silence. So let me ask you something directly. Do you think the players asked for this? Do you think the fans, the billions of people who tune in specifically because football never stops, asked for this? Or do you think 22 professional footballers standing frozen on a pitch while a home improvement commercial plays at the World Cup tells you everything you need to know about who this tournament is actually for? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And if you want coverage of this tournament that does not pretend the interruption is for your benefit, subscribe, because they will do it again next half, right on schedule.